Yo, grab yo Kleenexes, my dudes. Ha! Hey, yo. What is fucking poppin'? It's another day, and yet again, a swing and a miss. Oh, man. I've seen so many fucking posts. Are they gonna have the update today? Are they gonna have the update today? Swing and a miss. Oh, man, I fuck. Alright, so we're gonna go ahead and, I'm gonna read something off. Alright? This is off of the post that they did about the update, where they talked about the future for dun 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 fucking Fortress. Now, it's my birthday. Honestly, I just wanted to get this video done so I could spend the rest of the day feeling old as fuck. So we're just gonna go ahead and get into this. I figured I'd go ahead and read it and then go over it on my opinion. Also wanted to say I fucking told all y'all so. I told you they weren't gonna nerf shit, and it was all fucking misunderstandings, and the YouTubers were running around yelling fucking, oh, the fucking nerfs are coming. Let's dive into this fucking Reddit post. So they talked about, what is in store for Fortress, right? Now, I read through this already, but for you guys, I'm going to recap the entire thing, right? So it says, let's dissect this. A current key issue with Fortress is that players can receive the maximum buff value of 43% for very small amounts of armor, without having to invest into the armor stat through class nodes or movable progression layers such as armor mods. From a historical point of view, the intentions behind Fortress were that it should provide a damage buff for players who committed to endurance builds with armor stacking and who would therefore likely need to give up on offensive nodes from other branches. We're going to touch on that once I finish reading this. Problematically, Fortress is currently providing incredible value for very little investment. This issue became most pronounced when we rebalanced armor a few months ago, so that all gear would provide more armor overall. And quote-unquote easy fix here would be to correct the now broken armor to buff value calculation that is required for players to invest more into armor. However, this is an overly simplistic and imperfect solution, and it would very likely be seen as a heavy nerf, even though we would be returning the mod to its originally intended tank or bruiser class niche use. It would also not be a significant enough change to properly disrupt the meta. We expect that a new meta would simply form around tank or bruiser classes, with any non-tank bruiser being kicked out of groups, the way Devastators were before their potential was discovered. We also do not want to simply make Fortress unviable for all but a niche class of builds, especially as we're aware that many players have committed huge amounts of hours into grinding in order to obtain this mod. Again, we're going to talk about that right there. Another problem is that Fortress provides an Omni damage buff. Omni meaning it buffs all output layers across the board. This means that regardless of your build direction, firepower or anomaly power, Fortress feels like a must-have. Generally speaking, it might not have been a big offender, as other mods could bring a comparable combat value. But the issue lies in that it provides a percentage base rather than a flat number base buff. This leads to extreme hyperscaling of damage. That's true. Players will naturally always choose a reliable, ever-present mod buff that is active regardless of combat style or play pattern, especially when this mod increases total damage output by nearly a half, by 43%. That is what Fortress currently is. Fortress is a best-in-slot mod, meaning that no weapon mod combo can really exist without Fortress as long as Fortress is in its current state. Replacing Fortress with another mod in your build can even mean that the replacement mod performs weaker than its true potential, since it could always benefit from the 43% damage increase Fortress would provide. This is key. No matter how much we buff any other mod within the realm of reasonable balance, they will never be able to provide the same overall value that Fortress does, making those buffs inherently unable to displace Fortress. We are most interested in giving players a choice of using the greatest possible amount of different mods in combination with one another, which in turn will lead to much more compelling gameplay loops. For example, we feel it would be healthier for players, and a lot more fun, to be able to have 6 different mods on 3 weapons rather than the same 2 mods on all 3 weapons. However, Fortress currently blocks 3 weapon mod slots. We will also touch on that after I am done reading this. Finally, Fortress's current form makes it fundamentally unfun, maybe even boring mod. It requires no great thought, no gameplay loop, and no real skill before it provides its maximum bonus. Such uninteractive mods can be useful and necessary when creating specific builds, but if such a mod dominates the build meta across the entire spectrum as it currently does, it is fundamentally flawed. The above exposition on Fortress' current form is long, but is essential reading for anyone who wonders why Fortress even needs to be changed. So, what do we have in the future planned for Fortress? So, it goes on to say, before we begin, a small reminder. We do not plan to address the issues of either Fortress or Moaning Winds before we have resolved the challenges that drove the creation of this meta and that continue to require its viability. You, therefore, do not need to worry about overly disruptive changes to the current power balance, as long as overall end-to-end endgame experience exists in this current form. Fortress's current design and logic is being fully reworked and is being replaced with fresh logic. Okay, now we dive into the good shit. Its new effect will be as follows, pending further balancing. Shots increase your current armor and resistance by 3%, stacking up to at 5 times. At maximum stacks, the buff is doubled and additionally grants 30% damage increase for 10 seconds. On a side note, players will need to perform 5 successful shots over 5 seconds to enter the full buff window. Stacks have a 1-second internal cooldown in order to streamline uptimes across all weapon types. This rework will address the issues described as follows. The mod will no longer rely on a broken armor stat calculation in order to provide its maximum buff. Players who already possess Fortress and want to continue to play with and use it should not feel complete night and day drop in power between the old and new Fortress. While the damage buff will be an omni buff, the gameplay loop of needing to generate stacks through shots means that the players may become more circumspect with regards to which builds can make the most of the new Fortress. Additionally, stacking armor and resistance buffs will reward players who have opted into additional armor and resistance from nodes or mods by making them even more tanky. The buff is multiplicative of the current value. This means that if a player has 0% resistance, the mod will not provide a baseline value on its own. Alright, so I'm not going to go into any more of the bullshit there because this video is already fucking it's already going. So anyway, I wanted to kind of touch on a couple of different things, right? So the first thing I wanted to touch on was where they mention if they do buff anything, it's not going to be comparable. That's true. It is true. No matter how much you buff every mod in this entire game, you will not be able to compare to a flat out 45% damage overall buff that is essentially passive. You're not going to beat that. I mean, yeah, you have whatever the fuck that one gun mod is that trades off life for damage and shit. I don't remember the name of it, so fucking if you do, congratulations. Doesn't really matter to me. I'll probably eventually end up fucking thinking of it. But anyway, even that, it has its trade-off value. Life of yours trickles down when you're not in combat. Meaning you'll always enter combat unless it's back-to-back consistent combat with half health. Because you always trade off half health for, damage increase. So, I mean, you really can't trade away a passive. You can't. That's free damage. So, I can understand where they're coming from with that. And I love it. I love how they touched base on that. Now, I'm normally very negative about this game. And that's because I feel if you're too positive about a game, especially that's in the current state that this one's in, the devs will get the wrong impression. And I mean, being too negative also can give off a very negative, a negative vibe as well, and kind of drop the morale of devs. So if my little videos do even get watched, that's one key that I wanted to kind of touch on. Like I tell you guys in every video, I'm gonna be fucking straight up real regardless. And as you can see in the patch notes, everything I literally said in the last video and probably the last couple videos is all right there. They literally touched on all of it. And everything I said was true. So I was not lying through the whole thing. I wasn't wrong through the whole thing. So that's a huge plus. Like I said, if I was wrong, I would go ahead and I would mention it. But I wasn't. They actually did touch on that. And yeah, I wasn't wrong. So moving on to the next thing. They said that, it would feel healthier. Now, there's going to be people, I guarantee there's going to be YouTubers who are going to say they're telling us that it's it's not going to be healthy, that it's unhealthy for us to get. No, they're saying that fundamentally, when you use a mod that has basically what Fortress does, some players may not even really have fun in using it anymore. Meaning, how do I explain it? There's some times where games lose all fun, but when you play them specifically for like because of, like the times. A lot of people play games like this, and you know how you have the whole YouTube community that thinks they're speed run fucking world champions and shit. Those people, it's like an addiction to trying to run speed runs. And I mean, I'm just gonna assume that after a while there's like all fun lost. To be real. Like, what fun do you have anymore when you're literally using, like, everybody uses the same build? What fun is that? Like, you go into a matchmaking lobby and everybody has the same build. And the only people that don't have the same build are the people who haven't been able to pull some of the mods yet. So that's not fun. Like, that's boring as fuck. Just being real. Like, it's boring. And if you think it's not boring, you're a fucking idiot. There is something mentally fucking wrong with you if you think that that's fun. That everybody has the same fucking build, running the same shit. And if you only play this solo, you're missing out on the reason this game was created as a co-op experience. So, they're right. There is no fun there. So, don't let these YouTubers say that they're trying to fucking control how you fucking play. They're not. There is a fun factor that has to be there and has to be present. And currently, sorry, I got a phone call. Currently, that does not exist. And then the last thing I wanted to touch base on before ending this video is just, I like it. I like the new way that the mod's gonna work. I think that actually works. If you want to use that mod, it should have some kind of attachment to it. And if you just want the passive, then you're lazy. You don't want to fucking work for it. And that's the only time anybody's ever going to hear me say you don't want to work for it, is because of that. Like, you know what I'm trying to say? Like, that's the only reason I'm ever going to say that, is you don't want to work for it. Because it's a passive. You don't have to do anything. You just want that damage handed to you. And then if you complain about it, you're literally proving that it's a crutch. That's all you're doing. You're going to prove that it's a crutch. But I wanted to cover that. I'm going to call the video here. Fucking, I love you guys. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of the new update. I won't criticize you guys too bad, honestly. I'm just kidding, I probably will. But yeah, let me know what you guys think, man. Honestly, like, I like it. I like this new fucking update. I really do. I think it's gonna be great. I think it's gonna be a nice fucking bit, and I think it's a great step in the right direction. But this your boy. I love you guys. I'm out. Peace.